Bang! Greetings, Will Film #1 fans and viewers. Scott Casey Gale here. And today, I'm going to give you my recap and review of the Season 1 finale of Justified, City Primeval, Season 1, Episode 8, entitled The Question. It was written by Dave Andrew and Michael Dinner, and it was directed by Michael Dinner. And I thought it was an outstanding finale. I really enjoyed it from beginning to end, especially the surprise ending, which I marked out like I was in heaven. But I'm going to get to that in a bit. But right now, let's begin with the recap of Justified, City Primeval, Season 1, Episode 8. Recap. Okay. The Albanians take Raylan Gibbons and Clement Manzo to Skender's panic room, where Carolyn Wilder is waiting. Clement thinks she's still on his side. She reminds Toma they had a deal. Toma takes the notebook of Clement and has his goons march him into the panic room. They destroy the internal controls for the door, knocking out the power. Clement makes comments about heading down to Tampa. Raylan shuts the door. Clement protests. Toma cautions him it might stop the smell around here after a few weeks, but points out that this is the best solution for everyone. He gives Raylan the notebook and his sidearm back. Left alone in the dark, Clement uses a lighter to find a lantern and then takes the stock of what's in the room with him. He starts to trash the place. Meanwhile, Carolyn and Raylan sit in a booth at an Irish pub considering their next steps. Carolyn invites him over, but he says he'll have to deal with some things first. In the morning, Raylan follows Will and Robinson to Downey's home, where they tell her they need to talk. In Lansing, Carolyn visits the lieutenant governor. She pitches herself as the best candidate to take over for Judge Guy. When the lieutenant governor comments that the process of selecting a replacement is complicated, Carolyn warns her to warn her boss not to nominate among her inner circle, especially Diane Rogers. At the police station, Downey is questioned as to why her name is in the judge's book. She stands firm that she's done nothing wrong and they have nothing to charge her with. Outside the internal affairs meeting, Robinson and Will discuss how they can nail Manso. Raylan excuses himself and heads out to get some rest. Raylan goes to Carolyn's house, where he scrubs her back while she's in the tub. She tells him she hates the house because it was Jamal's dream, but the tub was hers. Raylan isn't able to sleep and gets out of bed. Carolyn wakes up. She realizes he's decided to go back and free Clement and arrest him properly. He arrives back at the panic room and is shocked by what he finds. Flashback 2 hours. At the Venus, Skender is frustrated with his situation. He wants to kill Clement. One of the Albanian goons gives him a gun and tells him where to find Clement. Skender takes a taxi to the panic room, opens the door and gets jumped by Clement, who beats him to death with a gun. In the present, Raylan tells Carolyn to warn her to get out of the house. He then tells Will to warn that Clement is on the move and probably going after the Albanians at the Venice. Clement enters the Venice and kills everyone he comes across. After killing Toma, he's searching for his desk to find weapons and cash, and an LD resident comes in with a gun trained on him. He can't pull the trigger though, and Clement doesn't shoot him. Instead, he takes the old man's gun and thanks him. Waylon walks into Carolyn's house. Bill calls him to let him know that the police were too late getting to the Albanians. Carolyn's at a gas station and checks the time, 12:15. She mutters about Waylon and drives home. Waylon is waiting when Clement breaks a window to get into Carolyn's house. Clement goes to get a beer and Waylon follows him into the kitchen. Clement asks him if he likes music because he's heard his own father was a great musician and believes he inherited his talent. Waylon doesn't want to hear about this, and Clement says he's heading out but has something for Waylon to remember him by. He reaches into his pocket and Waylon fires 3 shots, killing him. Clement is shocked at being shot. He asks Waylon why and shows him the demo tape he was reaching for. Carolyn walks in and calls a morgue. 6 weeks later, Waylon attends a retirement for his Florida chief, Dan Grant. Afterwards, Waylon approaches Grant. Grant congratulates him and offers to recommend him for the chief position he's vacating. Waylon tenders his resignation and hands in his badge. Waylon's painting his house when a parcel arrives from Carolyn. She's now a judge in Detroit. He's reading a note from her when a car's screeching wheels and a horn gets his attention. Wheeler drives up with Winona. He tells them he retired. Winona's shocked and wants to talk to him alone. He takes Wheeler for a day on a boat that was seized from the drug dealer. They make plans to learn to drive the boat so they can get one to live on together for one day. In the Primeval Penitentiary in Kentucky, Boyd Crowder bids his inmate friends goodbye as he's being transferred to a hospital for tests to see what is causing his decline in health. He is taken into custody by officers Ramirez and Gurnett for the transfer. Once they're out of the penitentiary and on the highway, Crowder starts yelling and pounding on the walls of the transport cell. Garrett's annoyed and pulls off the road to deal with him. Ramirez opens the door and tells Crowder he's in for it now. Crowder doesn't think so, as Garrett pulls a weapon on Ramirez. Garrett and Crowder are intimately acquainted. They leave Ramirez locked in a transport and walk to a getaway vehicle to change their clothes and have sex. They decide to head for Mexico. On the Miss Ethel, Waylon's falling asleep. Wheeler asks if they're gonna talk about why he's quit. He's willing to talk about it. Just then he receives a text alert from an inmate escaping from Primeval Penitentiary. He ignores it and gives his attention back to Wheeler. Then his phone starts ringing. Call display says it's the marshal's office. He lets it ring as the episode ends. And I would give this episode 5 stars, 2 thumbs up, way up, a solid 10 out of 10, and an 8 triple plus. I love this episode. I would say Boyd Holbrook did a good job as Clement Mansell for our 8 episodes, and I like how Waylon finally shot somebody on this season. It's been a long time since we've seen Waylon Givens shoot somebody, and he shot Clement Mansell 3 times in the chest and thus killing him. That was so great the way they ended Clement Mansell's character. I really enjoyed Ingenue Ellis that's killed in Wilder. The Brill, I didn't really, Brill was a good character too, but we really didn't find out his background. But I said, the best part was Walton Goggins reprising his role as Boyd Crowder and escaping the penitentiary as him and the female security guard Ramirez head up to Mexico. So in my opinion, Justified City Primeval has got to be renewed for season 2. And you can tell, and I think that was indeed Boyd Crowder calling Waylon on a cell phone. So if there is a city to Justified City Primeval. Where will it take place? I don't think it's going to take place in Detroit, Michigan. I think it's either going to go back to Kentucky, or it might take place in Mexico. Will we see Waylon Givens versus Boyd Crowder 2 if Justified City Primeval gets renewed for season 2? I hope so. I also like seeing the return of Dan Grant. I like seeing Matt Craven reprise as well as him. I also like seeing the return of David Koechner's character, who was on one episode of season 5 and one episode of season 6. That was good. And seeing Winona Hawkins, that was also good to see her. But nothing compares to the return of Boyd Crowder. I was hoping to see the return of Wynn Duffy, but unfortunately that didn't happen. But maybe Wynn Duffy might be back if Justified City Primeval gets renewed for season 2. And hopefully we see Rachel Brooks, Tim Gutterson, and Art Monin. Anyway, great finale. Really enjoyed it. Loved every single thing about it. Comment down below in the comment section. Tell me what you thought about the finale and what you think of Boyd Crowder returning. You stay classy, live long and prosper, and peace out. And I will be back here tomorrow to do yet another Amazon.com unboxing video. Good night, everybody.